beginning in the early 1980s during the Reagan period, a long stagnation set in wages for American workers, from which they never recovered. It was a downward curve from the early 1980s. That coincided with the hollowing out of the union movement or unionization. And so workers were more exposed than ever to the insatiable greed of the haves. That also coincided with this vast chasm that opened up between that 1% and 99% in terms of distribution of wealth. So, as I said, reality caught up with Bernie. The, the, the political platform he had articulated in an era in which it wasn't really relevant now became relevant. So, for myself, who basically was schooled in the old left Marxist Communist Party politics, it was a exhilarating moment, and an exhilarating moment. It filled you with hope. And then along came the George Floyd demonstrations, and those two were very striking to me because large numbers of whites were participating. At the beginning, you could say the first couple of weeks, it was about 50% black, 50% white. By the third week, it was probably around 75% white, 25% black. A certain disillusionment set in among blacks because it didn't look like this was going anywhere. And in fact, that intuition proved to be correct. It didn't go anywhere. It just kind of exploded in this demolishing uh, of statues and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, but what struck me about these demonstrations was in my day, whites participated.
Mhm.
However, let's say in the civil rights movement, however, it was mostly privileged whites, and it always had a taint, and maybe more than a taint, of noblesse oblige or radical chic. We're doing them a favor, an
Mhm.
act of charity. That was not at all the tenor of the George Floyd demonstrations. These were white working class kids, mostly 30 and below. As I say, I was the one exception, mostly 30 and below, who, number one, economically were just one notch ahead of the blacks. They also have no future in the system. The system has completely failed them in the present, and as far as one can see, is going to fail them into or unto eternity.
Mhm.
Number two, because there has been a relative, I emphasize relative, homogeneity of the 80%, especially the under 30 generation, a lot of them live with each other. You know, if you come to New York City, I don't know where you're speaking from, it's basically four young people to an apartment. Each of them are roughly paying $1,000 rent. And you'll have in one apartment a black person, a white person, a gay person, a lesbian person. There's been this kind of racial, sexual homogenization, basically, because everybody's looking for a place. Everybody needs to have the four roommates to make the month's rent. And so beggars can't be choosers. You choose wherever you can get. And if you're three people and you need a fourth, you take whoever you can get. But that meant there was now a much greater, what you could call, naturalness of relations between people of different racial backgrounds and sexual orientations. You didn't feel that noblesse oblige anymore. You didn't feel that radical chic anymore. It's as if to say, We're all in this together. So there was, yes, it's true, the stimulus was the George Floyd
Mhm.
outrage. But that wasn't the end of the story. It was a comprehensive outrage at the system that had destroyed everybody's lives. The police, as always, were the symbol of the armed force of the system. And it was very striking to me the anger, the sheer unadulterated anger of the white protesters as they shouted at the police.
Mhm.
They were so angry. And it wasn't the racism, it was the anger at their own lives. The fact that they, meaning the white protesters, had no future in this system either. And yes, this system is fucking up black people, but to a slightly lesser degree, it's fucking up white people too.